welcome. Look, you wake up, fight your way through traffic, get to work, take orders from your boss all day, and finally go home just completely exhausted. If you feel like you're grinding every single day just to barely make it to the end of the month, hey, I hear you. But I'm here to tell you that exhaustion, it's about to become your greatest asset. Today, we're unlocking the coach's playbook on exactly how to build massive wealth, even if your salary feels practically microscopic. In this explainer, we're going to completely demystify wealth creation and show you step-by-step how to make it happen. Seriously, are you working yourself to the bone just to barely scrape by when the rent is due? If you're a young professional feeling totally stuck in this endless paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, I need you to listen to me closely. That frustration you're feeling right now, it isn't a dead end. Actually, it's the perfect starting line for a $1 million journey. And no, I don't mean buying scratch-offs or getting lucky. I am talking about a proven, purely mathematical blueprint that everyday people use to completely change their lives. Section 1, Breaking the Paycheck Trap. Okay, let's dive into this. The single most powerful realization you've got to make today before we look at a single number is this. Building wealth isn't actually about the size of your salary. Not at all. It is entirely about how much of that salary you keep and how much you grow. We have to flip the switch from a consumer mindset to an investor mindset. A consumer simply spends whatever they make. If you earn $800 a month after rent and bills and you spend it all going out, you have absolutely nothing left. An investor, though, they prioritize keeping and growing what they make to create consistent, positive cash flow. I really want you to remember this. Positive cash flow is your absolute golden ticket. It's the lifeblood of your entire financial future. Section 2, Meet the Ordinary Millionaires. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, Coach, that sounds great in theory, but come on, I need a massive executive salary to actually become a millionaire. Well, let me prove you wrong. Let's look at some real-world proof that relentless financial discipline beats a high salary every single time. Back in 1935, an ordinary secretary named Grace Groner started her wealth-building journey by buying just 3 shares of Abbott Labs. Total cost? $180. That's it. But here's the genius of her playbook. She simply reinvested every single dividend she ever received. She never spent a dime of her stock's value. She just let it sit there and let it grow. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer power of what happens next. $7 million. When Grace passed away in 2010, she gifted a massive $7 million fortune to her college. There was no tech startup, no fancy Ivy League MBA. She was just an ordinary person who proved that time and compounding are the true heroes of building wealth. And by the way, Grace wasn't some wild fluke. Take Ronald Reed. He was a lifelong janitor who earned roughly $22,000 a year. Yet he lived frugally, saved obsessively, and left behind an $8 million fortune. Insane, right? How did he do it? He diversified his money into dividend-paying blue-chip stocks and just rode out every single market crash. Ronald didn't get lucky, he got relentlessly consistent. Section 3, Master your cash flow. To pull off what Grace and Ronald did, you've got to play defense first. You need to track every single dollar to find those hidden leaks in your budget. You know, those forgotten trial memberships or random app subscriptions. But even more critically, you must slay high-interest credit card debt. If your credit card is charging you 20% or more, carrying a balance is a deadly 20% drain on your potential. Literally, eliminating that burden is exactly like earning a guaranteed 20% return on your money, right out of the gate. Once that high-interest debt is zeroed out, how should you manage your money? Well, most experts recommend the 50-30-20 rule as a solid financial baseline. Half your income goes to necessities, 30% to wants, and 20% to investments. And let me tell you, even just this baseline is incredibly powerful. The math shows that at 25-year-old following this rule, investing just $500 monthly hits roughly $1.3 million by age 65. Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is the wealth builder's twist. As your financial coach, I'm going to push you a little harder. Adopt the 50-20-30 rule. We're going to squeeze your wants down to 20% and pour a massive 30% straight into assets, like index funds or real estate. Trimming your wants to boost your investment rate to 30%, that accelerates your net worth like pouring gasoline on a flame. Section 4, Turbocharge with side hustles. Okay, we've played defense, now we pivot to offense. Let's talk about turbocharging your wealth with side hustles. Because listen, if your 9-to-5 boss can't or won't pay you more, it is entirely on you to create additional earnings. Relying on just one income source is risking anyway. In reality, most self-made millionaires don't just have one job. They actually rely on 3 to 7 different streams of income to build a rock-solid foundation. And these are incredibly accessible to anyone. Think freelancing, tutoring, selling digital products online, or just picking up weekend gigs. You just need to find what suits your skills and your interests and get started. But here is the unbreakable rule of this playbook. Every single dollar from these side hustles must be strictly reinvested. Seriously, do not use it to upgrade your lifestyle. If you generate an extra $100 a week from a side hustle and you invest it consistently at a 10% return, over 15 years that turns into a staggering $445,000. It maximizes your long-term compounding beyond belief. Section 5, the compound interest snowball. Let's move to this next concept and see how this actually builds. Because this is where we dive into how the stock market works like a massive engine, doing all the heavy lifting for you. Remember, saving your money is great, but investing is where the absolute magic happens. Warren Buffett famously called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. And hey, it served him pretty well. Over 99% of his massive fortune was actually earned after he turned 50. Think about the old story of the chessboard and the rice. A single grain doubled on every square eventually explodes into this astronomical quantity. Your investments do the exact same thing. They grow slowly at first, and then, boom, they explode like an unstoppable snowball. Now you might say, but coach, I'm not a finance expert. You know what? You don't need to be. The simplest path is a low-fee index fund. It's basically just an automated investment that tracks the entire broad stock market. It entirely removes the need for you to sit there picking individual stocks or trying to play games timing the market. By just buying and holding an index fund, you tap right into the S&P 500's historical average return of about 10% annually. And you must remember this golden rule. Time in the market is greater than timing the market. Resist the temptation to jump in and out. Studies actually show that missing just the 10 best market days in a decade can cost you 2/3 of your overall gains. That's massive. If the market tips 20%, honestly, you shouldn't panic, you should rejoice. That just means shares of top companies are simply on sale. Section 6, Habits for Long-Term Wealth. We are entering the final phase of the playbook now. To really make this math work, you need the right mindset. Building $1 million portfolio on a low salary absolutely doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of small, daily habits and extreme patience over decades. So here are the essential millionaire habits. First, automate your contributions so you totally remove the temptation to skip a month. Second, educate yourself relentlessly. Third, diversify your assets. And fourth, and please take this as a very serious warning, avoid lifestyle inflation. When you get a raise, do not let your spending creep up with it. Instead, make sure to increase your investment rate by at least 1% with every single raise you ever get. So, the crucial point is, knowing all this isn't enough. You have to execute. Here is your locker room challenge and your concrete step-by-step action playbook starting tonight. First, track your expenses for a full week. Second, find and cancel 2 subscriptions tomorrow. Third, split your next paycheck using that 50-20-30 rule. Fourth, brainstorm just one side hustle idea this week. And finally, commit to learning about finance for just 10 minutes a day. Which leaves us with one final question to end our explainer today. Are you ready to flip the switch from consumer to investor and unlock true financial freedom? I'm challenging you today. Commit to your journey. Make the small, disciplined choices right now. Skipping that daily coffee, investing that $20, starting that side hustle. These small choices are exactly what build the bridge to the life you deserve. Start today, stay consistent, and let compound interest do the rest. Let's go make it happen.